Yeah, so this is from specimen paper, and this part deals with the nature of God, right? Which includes the henotheism, monism, etc., and the nature of God. So if we have to understand the question, the sum total of all that lives is God. The sum total of all that lives is God. All that lives will refer mainly to the creation of God, the different creations of God. Like we have, it can be nature, anything which God has created. So the sum total of all that lives is God. We are God. We may not be God, but we are of God. Of course, when we act, that doesn't seem to be that, it doesn't seem that we are God. At times we are tempted, at times we do wrong things, which definitely God does not do that. So it says that we may not be the God, but we are of Him. We have come from Him. We have emanated from Him. Even as a little drop of water is of the ocean. We are, let's say, we are the drops of the ocean. We are just one little drop of the ocean. Now, the point to understand here from the ocean, that is water, we come from the ocean, one drop. The ocean still remain limitless. If you will take one drop from the ocean, it will still remain limitless, infinite. So is God. Malgré que we have emanated from Him, He is complete. He is infinite. He doesn't change. He is immutable. This has been specifically described in the Isha Upanishad, right? So he remains the same. And the drop of water, where will it go at the end? Just like the rivers you might have done in Form 5 from the Chandogya Upanishad, the river and the ocean. Even that drop, Sadbulula, it will evaporate, of course. It will come again as rain. It will go again to the ocean. So we have come from Him, we have come from God, and to Him we shall go. We will return to Him. So this is how you can describe this. So this has been written as Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. Now describe what the passage above says about the nature of God. Few things I've already told you, right? You do mention when you are writing about such thing, do mention how this has been also written in the Isha Upanishad, right? Do make references in your work. So let's see what it has written here in the scheme, right? So the passage describes God is made up of all living things. It claims that when all things are put together, the result is God. We are all God. In a way, we are God, malgré que, yes, our action doesn't prove so. It does not say categorically either that we are God, but we are not. Instead, it says that we are made of God. What Gandhi is saying, his view is, we are not that God. But yes, we are made of Him since we have come from Him, just like the Purusha Sukta has explained how we have emanated from the Purush, or even the Nasadya Sukta, how He created everything. So these things Interpretation can be many. The way I told you, it can be that way. Ou bien si, if you have another way of explaining, right? So we have different interpretation about God. You can write about, we come from him, we have to reach him again. He is the infinite one, right? So it could be considered to be describing a pantheist belief in God, which understands God as part of the universe. Pantheism really croit that God is part of the universe or claims the universe to be the manifestation of God, right? We can say Gandhi's view, the pantheist view, right? So these are ways you can write it, but you may have other interpretation also, which you can add. Ce qu'il est donné dans marking scheme, c'est pas always that thing that you are expected to write. You're not expected to write everything like what has been given also here. You might be writing things on your own and elaborating, right? So if we see the next question, explain the importance of Ishwar in contemporary Hinduism. Ishwar, we know it's God. Say, and look, maybe you can say synonym for God. But when we say Ishwar, we basically God having a form, right? Néanmoins, du monde pour lui, Ishwar est capable de dire non, Ishwar is formless, right? In contemporary Hinduism, contemporary say now, this era, this time, this moment, right? So in today's Hinduism, what is the importance of Ishwar? Right? You may be writing Ishwar as the creator, the preserver, the destroyer, etc. That is fine. We can do that. But it also refers to the worship of Murti. The worship of Murti. This is what I said. That is God, praying God having a form. Murti Puja. Here you can include your knowledge of idol worship, right? Of idol worship, you can include the knowledge here. We might be explaining the relationship between Ishwar as personal God and the Sagun Brahman, secondary God with a form. We may also consider the different the role of ideas about and worship of Ishwar. In this Kali Yuga, in this contemporary world, even Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita is very recent. Even Ramayana, which is quite recent. Krishna, like in the Bhagavad Gita, he has said, it's not wrong to worship the God having a form, the Sagun Brahman. We might be doing that. That is not a problem. That is not an issue, right? So we might do worshipping of that God, of that Ishwar. And where does this worship lead us? To moksha. That is the basic aim. Well, it can also lead us to some material benefits. That is also true. When we are praying Ishvara, nous peut prier parfois for certain benefits, for certain material things, right? Someone wants to have a baby, or someone wants money, whatever. But the ultimate aim, of course, remain getting moksha, for which we pray him, right? And do include your knowledge here about why we are doing the idol worship today in this modern world, worshipping the Ishvara. Why are we doing Murti Puja today? Likewise, you can say that Ishvara, comment nous peut décrire Murti Puja, etc. For some people, qui ont evolve, no? People who have evolved, for them, Ishvara, pas nécessairement the Sagun. Since they evolve, Ishwar Puli, the formless one, right? The evolution also, we conquer it up in spirituality. Right? Bon, il y a beaucoup de façons, bien sûr. Again, I'll tell you the same thing. Beaucoup de façons pour attempt a question. It's your perspective. Now, evaluate the claim that Hinduism is best described as the term monism. You might get the question otherwise also. Evaluate the claim that Hinduism is best described by the term polytheism, for example. Okay, so this can change, no doubt, but you will definitely get a question here like this. So if we see that question, so when we say Hinduism is best described, so it doesn't mean you have to agree with it. You may agree with it, yes, it is monism, or you may not, totally you disagree, que non, monism, polytheism, for example. Okay, so you're giving your views, your ideas, but you can write both, both sides. Comment on dire, ou d'accord que yes, partly monism, but for others, for other philosophy, vous autres get comme d'autres choses, comme pantheism, vous get comme polytheism, right? They like the big umbrella, they uncover, they cover, nous too, right? So, there are many different deities in Hinduism, associated with Hinduism. Malgré que the Veda exclaimed, Ekam Sad Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. There's only one God, but with different forms, different names and all. Malgré cela, some people, people in general, they consider Hinduism to be polytheistic. That is, if you worship many types of God, of deities. Livre, because at times we do pray Ganesh, the sun, etc. So polytheistic religion, yes, it is. But the very basic foundation, quand nous commençons une réponse là, quand nous dire, Ekam Sad Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. God is one, mono. God is one, but we call him by many names. We give him many forms and many names. So the one who is saying Hinduism, the monotheistic, the monism, the polytheism, no one is wrong in their own way. No one is wrong, right? So we have other descriptors also. They say that the henotheism. So you may also say that candidates might argue that rather than worshipping distinct entities, many Hindus understand the deities as different parts or aspects, right? Instead of rather than worshipping many distinct entities, many different things, instead of worshipping that, many Hindus understand the deities as different parts of the greater whole. Like we said, Ekam Sat Vipra. So we consider him to be like Shiv, to be Durga, to be Devi, whatever. The focus of the question is Hinduism as monism, and any exploration of different descriptive terms should recognize this. Là, c'est-à-dire, ou peut capable, comment on dit, agree, disagree, you might be describing other stuff here, like polytheism, like henotheism, whatever, it will be accepted here. Monism might be understood as a broader concept than monotheism. Monotheism, pas bien l'idée de meaning, you should give meaning also. Monotheism relates to singleness of deity. Comment dire, on peut prier this Ganesh is your supreme, Shiv is your supreme. Whereas monism relates to the existence of only one reality. And most of the time, this monism is formless. The God we are worshipping here, is formless. Right? We might consider the different forms of Vedanta as well here, especially the Advaita Vedanta. Advaita. Dvaita Vidya. Sorry. Dvaita. Le mot Dvaita veut dire deux. That is, when we say there are two realities, there is God as one reality, but apart God, there is Prakriti. The universe is real. Ça c'est Dvaita. But the Advaita Vedanta, Advaita, if I leave in antonym here, means not to, non-dualism. That is, only God is the eternal one. Only God, the Brahman, is the supreme, is the reality. Apart from Brahman, nothing is real. This is basically the Advaita Vedanta. So when we are talking about monism, monism is referred, advocates plutôt the Advaita Vedanta, right? So like God having, the impersonal God, the Nirgun God, we might see him as Saguna as well. The person, of course, Nupika Geti as Saguna as well, but who is who is himself the formless, who has taken a form. Pareil, si vous get dans Purusha Sukta, where it has been described that there was the Brahman, the Purush, and then from him he came out the Virat Purush, and from the Virat Purush we got creations, right? So the monism basically yal via Advaita Vedanta, only the supreme, the formless, is the reality, right? Only the Brahman is the reality. The world, what we call the Jagat, it is illusion. This has been said, also said by Sri Adi Shankaracharya, who says that Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. It is there in the notes. I'll write it again. Ça veut dire, ou ce qui me peut dire, you can add this in your work also. So Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. The verse continues. So Brahman is Satya. Brahman is real. Brahman is the truth. Right? Jagat Mithya. Jagat, le monde, the universe, is Mithya. Mithya veut dire illusion. So this is what basically the monism advocates, ou bien what we are saying, the Advaita Vedanta. Right? We continue. But what we can also say here is this is important. The candidates might include that all these terms are drawn from Western philosophy. Drawn from Western philosophy. Like, if you get Hinduism, Hinduism was never monism, pantheism since previous time, ancient times. Hinduism was just called Sanatana Dharma. In Sanatana Dharma, it includes everything. You want to pray Ganesh, you don't pray God with a form, you are atheist, you are Sanatana Dharma. Okay? But the Western philosophy, the Western culture, minaminen l'impact que nous the terms, the different terms. Nous commence classifier everything, in a subcategory, you can say, in Hinduism. Right? So do add this part as well in your work. Right? So this is it here for this specimen paper. Donc, il n'est pas nécessairement que nous pouvons un petit quotation avant, là, il pose nous la question. Il est capable de poser la question directement aussi. Okay. About the different how we describe Hinduism. Let's see novembre 2021. Okay. Last time, if I remember, we saw number 3, right? Nous get 4 là, après nous discuss 1 and 2 a bit, because we did not, right? Outline the difference between henotheism and polytheism. So here you're going to write the difference. You can be writing examples to ça. Okay. You can do that. Li pas nécessairement, sorry, la question n'est capable de bien sûr d'autres façons aussi. Like describe the difference between monism, monotheism, and all. Right? So you explain, you might be giving examples. Next, explain why some people might argue that monotheism is the best way to describe Hinduism. C'est la même question qui nous était ici. Evaluate the claim that Hinduism is best described as the term monism. Ici, l'une de nous comme monotheism. Right? So as I told you, this question will definitely come. This question in terms of comment est-ce que Hinduism, monism, monotheism, polytheism, etc. So we need to be prepared for that, right? Of course, you're going to write it in the same way, but focusing majorly on monotheism, right? Hindus believe the divine is unknown. Discuss this claim. The divine is unknown. The divine is known and unknown. Known Kuma, of course, we can realize the Brahman if we reach him, when we reach him, Kritu. But he is unknowable also. Parce que, I always take that example. If we are eating a laddu, I'm eating a laddu, you come and ask me how sweet the laddu is. I can tell you in one laddu in a 500 gram sugar. Fine. But do you know, comme 500 gram sugar, do you know how sweet 500 gram sugar is? You don't know. Because you have to eat it first. Then you will understand what is that sweetness of the 500 grams of sugar, right? So it likewise, God, the divine, is unknowable. I can't explain to you. We can't explain. No one can explain. Roughly, scholars, they have told us God is like this. We have known from the Vedas also, God is like this, like that, from the Upanishads as well, fine. But God is even more than that. Words, words cannot describe, right? So you have to discuss this claim Here you can refer to many, come on, guys, now. You can refer to many scriptures. Specifically, you can refer to Isha Upanishad. Yeah, Isha Upanishad, and there's here the Vedas too. So, okay. Now, Hindu religious belief and philosophy encompass the different ways of explaining the divine. No, second décrire les dans cette façon. Un monothéiste, il peut décrire God d'une façon. Someone following Shaivism, his description will be different. Someone following Smartism, his or her description will be different. But the focus is bien sûr on the divine, on the supreme, whatever the form, right? So, here it talks about the different ways to liberation. One is the Gyan Marg, that is the Gyan Path. The Gyan Marg connects liberation with the appropriate knowledge of the ultimate truth. Because, Gyan Path, Gyan Yog, the path of knowledge. So what knowledge are we grasping then? Ki knowledge can you begin? So the knowledge of the Supreme. That is basically the Gyan, the knowledge of the Supreme. So a follower of the Gyan Yoga might be the best person maybe to explain who is God, how to reach him, who can probably describe God. But of course, he won't be able to do that 100%. Okay. Whereas the Bhakti path focuses mainly on the personal relationship with God, bien sûr, the personal relationship, God having a form and all. Now, at times we are describing God, let's say as Ram, but when we are describing him as Ram or Krishna, we are limiting him, but he is limitless. Refer to Isha Upanishad. Isha Upanishad has said God is unlimited, God is limitless, God is infinite. The right word to use, the translation, infinite. We have other paths also which lead us to the unknowable, that is the karma yoga. Right? So we are doing attempts to understand Brahman. A Shaiva is doing the attempts. The other one is doing his or her own way of reaching, knowing understanding the Brahman, the Supreme. But how we will be able to know him, to reach the divine, exactly unknowable, by the proper effort, right? By the proper effort. The Vedas might have exclaimed that God is this and that, but yeah, that is just written there. Of course, in scripture, we have to abide by what has been written there. We have to believe, etc. That is fine in its way. But Vedas also say that we should never accept things blindly. Kuma, we should always validate things. Takumandia Vedindiao, you need to follow this path, this particular path. Should we follow that path blindly just because Veda, just because scriptures has told us to do? No, we should not. We need to validate it. We follow it. We see if it's worth it following the path or not. If it is, good. If not, we might be changing the path, right? So here you can describe the 1880 concept, the different concept we use like Satchidanand, how we describe God. We can write all these different qualities of God, maybe we can write here. You can refer to Bhagavad Gita as well. Huh? Isha Upanishad. It will be nice if you write the peace invocation of Isha Upanishad. Purnamada Purnamidam. That is the whole, this is the whole. In Amanizut verses, also from the Isha, what you feel nice, you can write, but the peace invocation is interesting to write it here, because we are saying that is the whole, God is the whole, God is complete, his creation is complete, God remains infinite, malgré qu'il in fair creation, right? Or you can add other quotation, right? Now, if you are going to see number one, it is on the Vedas, the four Vedas. We have done that. They outline the different areas of concern of the four Vedas. Ça veut dire each Ved qui a un topic, qui a content. That is the point here. Explain the importance of the Upanishads for the development of Hinduism. Upanishads aid Hinduism to develop. You have to explain here the importance of the Upanishads in the development of Hinduism. Premièrement, as we know, the Vedas were the primary, and then with that we get the Upanishads and the Puran and other stuff and all, right? So you come to describe, get the meaning of Upanishad, which is not necessary, bien sûr. Once you explain the whole concept, how we get the knowledge of Upanishad. We go to the Gurukul and we sit at the feet of the Guru and all. What are the contents there now? Who can have help for Hinduism to develop? What are the contents of the Upanishads? Of course, the major contents is Brahman. It is the moksha. It also teaches us the way to live, the way to live life, even in a society, how to behave with people, about our work, about the varnas, about the ashramas. We have certain Vedic rituals, but Upanishads, they also reject external rituals as well. They focus mainly on the worship of the impersonal rather than other forms of God. Right? So this is how a bit in that direction you can take the work. And here you have to assess the claim that Gnostic traditions are not forms of Hinduism. Gnostic Vijakilipa believe in God, no? But here you will have, if you remember, I gave you notes on who is an Astic or Gnostic. A Gnostic is capable to believe in God, but they feel good actions. They help people, might be without expectation, just like Krishna is asking us to do. Mais juste qu'il n'a pas fait prayers. He pas believe maybe in scriptures, right? So you discuss Eskudako Kili form part of Hinduism or not. Of course, it form parts of Hinduism, right? Summarize the story told in Mahabharata. You have to be very brief here. The major clan, dharma, adharma, the fight, etc. Okay. Be brief because this is 5 Explain why there is disagreement about whether some texts are smriti or shruti. Some are considered shruti, others smriti. You have to discuss what is shruti, what is smriti, how they might be similar and different. Similar, comment dire similar, bien sûr, c'est parce que they have content of Brahman, of Atman, of how to get moksha, right? You can discuss the point here is that Bhagavad Gita is the Shruti or Smriti, right? The one who considers Krishna as God, Pulili Shruti. For someone, Krishna is not God, just a messenger. Puli lipa po shruti lipu smriti. Right? The Bhagavad Gita is the only important part of the Mahabharata. Pas totally vrai, bien sûr. Bhagavad Gita est important for all the knowledge it has given us. Whatever you have learned in the Bhagavad Gita, you are going to write here. The few chapters, specifically the few chapters in your syllabus. But apart from this, the whole Mahabharata also is important. Because we get to learn things. You can take examples here. You should take examples here. Maybe from the life of Arjun, from the life of Duryodhan, from the life of Draupadi. Maybe Draupadi, like she was not on the battlefield, because in our Bhagavad Gita, she was not on the battlefield, but she has a role there in the Mahabharata, important role. Okay, so you take examples. You should be knowing, like for Mahabharata and Ramayana, what are the few examples you're going to use for the exams? Ou fini prépare one examples properly, right? Voilà, this is Novembre 2021. So as I message you, that will be the last, this will be the last today. And we shall meet next year. We will continue with your paper one as well. Right? Because we are done with the revision of paper 2. So better we meet next time. You focus on your revision for your exams. If ever you need something, you need me or whatever, you can message me. That is not an issue, right?